The radio crackled to life inside the operations center, faint, distorted, and almost impossible to believe. For a long moment, no one moved. Officers stood frozen in silence, their eyes locked on the screen where a single flickering call sign had just appeared. Eagle 9. It was a name they hadn't seen in 3 years, a name that belonged to someone they had mourned, buried in their reports and carried in their memories. The woman behind that call sign had been declared missing in action, presumed gone forever. And yet, in the middle of a storm, in a region the military had already labeled a lost cause, her voice had returned from the dead. 3 years earlier, Captain Mara Jensen had been the best pilot her division had ever seen. Known for her composure under fire, her steady hands, and her instinct for saving lives, she was the kind of officer others followed without question. Her call sign, Eagle 9, became a symbol of precision and courage, the pilot who could fly through chaos and bring her people home. But during a covert rescue mission in the mountains of a war-torn border, her chopper had gone down in a blizzard. They searched for days, but the terrain was merciless, the weather cruel. No bodies were found, only twisted metal buried in snow. The mission was marked failed, her name carved on the memorial wall among the fallen. Those who knew her, her co-pilot, her commander, and the soldiers she had saved, never fully accepted her loss. Some said she must have died quickly. Others believed she had survived but couldn't make it back. Eventually, the world moved on. Her picture was placed among the honored dead. Her family received the folded flag. The war changed, new faces replaced the old, and the call sign Eagle 9 became a memory whispered in quiet corners of the base. Until tonight. The mission currently underway wasn't supposed to involve miracles. A convoy of Allied forces had been trapped deep behind enemy lines, surrounded, outnumbered, and cut off from communication. Reinforcements couldn't reach them in time. Air support was impossible. The skies were too dangerous, the storm too fierce. The generals had already labeled it a total loss. And yet, right in the middle of the static-filled radio feed, a voice came through, steady, confident, and achingly familiar. Eagle 9 inbound. Coordinates locked. Hold position. At first, they thought it was interference, a glitch in the system. But when the radar picked up an unidentified aircraft breaking through the clouds, moving with impossible precision through the storm, hearts began to pound. The silhouette matched an old model, the same type Mara Jensen had flown on her last mission. Her commander, now a colonel, leaned forward in disbelief. The signal ID was encrypted using a code that only she had known. No one could fake it. It was her. It had to be her. High above the storm, in the belly of an aging aircraft patched with makeshift repairs, Captain Mara Jensen gripped the controls tightly. Her hands trembled not from fear but from exhaustion. Her face was lined with years of struggle, her once short hair streaked with silver. After the crash, she had survived against all odds. Captured, hidden, escaped, and lived among the locals who had risked their lives to keep her alive. She had fixed old machinery, scavenged spare parts, and built her way back to the sky. For 3 years she had watched from the shadows as others fought, waiting for the right moment, and now, with hundreds of lives on the line, that moment had come. Below, the trapped soldiers heard the roar of rotors cutting through the wind. They looked up and saw a lone aircraft diving through lightning and smoke, guns blazing, moving with an accuracy that defied logic. It wasn't supposed to be possible. No pilot should have been able to fly in that weather. But the bird in the sky didn't care about what was possible. It cared about what needed to be done. In the operations center, the radar lit up brighter than it had in hours. The impossible mission suddenly had hope. The extraction was chaos, bullets, fire, and thunder all at once. Yet through it all, Mara's voice never wavered. She directed the teams like she had done 100 times before. Every command was crisp, every maneuver deliberate. When the soldiers finally reached the evacuation point, they saw her, standing by the ramp of the chopper, thinner than they remembered, older, scarred, but unmistakably alive. Some froze, unable to believe their eyes. Others cried openly. For them, this wasn't just a rescue, it was resurrection. When the helicopter finally landed back at base, silence fell. As the rotors slowed, the crew approached her cautiously, unsure if she was even real. The colonel, who had once written her name into the memorial log, stepped forward, his throat tight with emotion. She smiled faintly and said in that same calm voice that had steadied so many before, Told you I'd bring them home." Tears fell freely that night. Soldiers who had faced death without blinking found themselves crying for the first time in years. She wasn't just a survivor. She was proof that courage doesn't end when hope does. For 3 years she had lived in exile, carrying the memory of her fallen comrades, refusing to let their sacrifices be in vain. Her return wasn't about glory. It was about duty, about finishing what she had started, and keeping her promise to never leave anyone behind. In the days that followed, Mara's story spread quietly across the ranks. No official report could capture what she had done. The documents would stay classified, her name hidden behind the call sign Eagle 9. But for those who saw her land that night, she became something more than a pilot or a soldier. She became a symbol of resilience, of loyalty, of the unbreakable human spirit that survives even when the world declares you gone. Years later, when she finally retired and settled near a quiet coastal airfield, people would sometimes spot her walking near the runway, watching the young pilots take off. She never told her story publicly, never asked for recognition. But every so often, late at night, the control tower would pick up a faint transmission across the frequency, a familiar voice, saying simply Eagle 9 clear skies. And those who knew the legend would smile, because some call signs never die. They just fade into the wind, waiting to return when the world needs them most. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Legends of History, where real courage and forgotten heroes are brought back to life through stories that remind us what it means to never give up. Special request. Tell us in the comments, what did you feel when Eagle 9 returned? Hope, faith, or the reminder that some heroes never truly disappear?